10 ways to realize that you're indulging in emotional cheating. Hi friends, welcome to Marriage Realities, a comprehensive relationship channel. Today's video is all about the many astonishing ways you emotionally cheat your spouse. If you feel you're cheating your spouse only when you indulge in extramarital affairs, you're wrong. Extramarital affair is not the only type of cheating in marriage. You can cheat your spouse emotionally also. So, do not ever assume that only extramarital affair will destroy your marriage. Emotional cheating has the same devastating effect of an extramarital affair. Yes, just as infidelity, emotional cheating destroys all that is good in your married life. Shall we now have a look at the 10 damaging ways you indulge in emotionally cheating your spouse? The number 1 type of emotional cheating is discussing personal relationship issues with the opposite sex. Most of you do not realize that you are letting down your spouse when you discuss the personal details of your relationship issues with your colleagues, relatives, friends of the opposite sex. You often go into the minute details about the problems your relationship is facing. You ask your male or female friends advice about a family issue which at best should be discussed only with your spouse. You are doing it all wrong. It is strange that you feel people who have no say in your relationship could offer you any solution to your personal issues with your spouse. When you do so, it just means you're overlooking your spouse. When you give importance to another person other than your spouse, it is emotional cheating. The number 2 damaging type of emotional cheating is when you cross your boundary line with the opposite sex. You might feel that your friendship with your friends, colleagues of the opposite sex is purely platonic and friendly. But without you realizing it, you often cross your boundary line when you're interacting with them. You often have physical contact with your male or female friends and say that you're just being friendly. You sit close with your friends of the opposite sex while your spouse fumes with anger. You talk to your friends of the opposite sex in an engrossing manner, making your spouse feel angry and resentful against you. When your friendship makes your spouse feel angry and uneasy, it's one of the most damaging type of emotional cheating you indulge in. The number 3 damaging type of emotional cheating is calling your male or female friends at untimely hours. When you call your friend or colleague of the opposite sex at untimely hours without the knowledge of your spouse, it just means that your friendship has stopped being innocent. Without you knowing it, your friendship with the opposite sex is fast turning into an emotional cheating. There is always a time to call your friends or colleagues. Calling at untimely hours just means that you find that person interesting than your spouse. When you talk with someone without your spouse knowing about it, it is blatant emotional cheating. The number 4 type of damaging emotional cheating is making degrading comments about your spouse to your male or female friends. You often ridicule the habits of your spouse with your friends of the opposite sex. You bring the drawbacks of your spouse to the open by talking about it. You also discuss how much you dislike certain personal habits of your spouse. Strangely, you do not discuss the mistakes of your spouse with him or her so that he or she can rectify his or her mistakes. When you talk negatively about your spouse to others, you're only indulging in emotional cheating. The number 5 type of damaging emotional cheating is when you spend most of your free time with the opposite sex. You would rather spend your free time with your friend of the opposite sex rather than with your spouse. It is because you find that person more to your liking than your spouse. You talk everything under the sky with that person which you do not do with your spouse. It is because you find that person more interesting than your spouse. When you find another person more interesting than your spouse, you can call it emotional cheating. The number 6 type of damaging emotional cheating is not being supportive and protective towards your spouse. You do not give emotional support to your spouse when he or she direly needs it. Your spouse might be undergoing tremendous work-related pressures, or he or she might be feeling low and downcast for some reasons. You ignore your spouse and go about your work as though his or her stress did not affect you. But when your friend or colleague of the opposite sex has any problems, you go all out to show that you will support him or her. You ask your friend not to worry, something which you do not do to your spouse. You offer many solutions to the problems of your friends which you never thought you should do to your spouse. When you do not support your spouse but extend unconditional support to the other person, you're indulging in emotional cheating. The number 7 type of damaging emotional cheating is talking to your friend without your spouse knowing about it. You talk with the other person with your spouse being clueless about it. Many a time you chat with your ex and your spouse does not know about it. You share your personal pictures with your friend of the opposite sex without the knowledge of your spouse. When you share your personal details to your friend of the opposite sex, you're indulging in a dangerous form of emotional cheating. The number 8 type of damaging emotional cheating is you become secretive towards your spouse. You talk with the other person for hours together, but you do not tell your spouse with whom you are talking to. When you get a phone call from the other person, you move away from your spouse to talk to him or her. Your voice is low and whispery, making your spouse all the more suspicious about whom you are talking to. You laugh often when you are talking, something which you have ceased to do with your spouse. Behaving in a manner which makes your spouse feel suspicious about you is the worst type of emotional cheating you could indulge in. The number 9 type of damaging emotional cheating is feeling edgy when you're away from the other person. The person you're friendly with might be your colleague or relative. You feel that you must always be with him or her rather than with your spouse. You keep thinking of that person even when you're with your spouse. You feel that your spouse is dull and boring compared to that other person. When the other person occupies your thoughts even when you're with your spouse, you're only being emotionally cheating. The number 10 type of damaging emotional cheating is when your spouse does not know about your friendship. When your friendship with the other person is normal, you will definitely tell your spouse about it. You will not spend hours with the other person and lie to your spouse that your work kept you away. You will not lie to your spouse that you're going to one place and secretively go to meet the other person. When you become secretive about the other person, it just means you're having an emotional affair. These sorts of emotional cheating might seem harmless to you, but it is these sort of small things that make or break your marriage. Do not think that when you're not physically cheating your spouse, you're being loyal to him or her. When you have a friendship about which you feel apprehensive to talk with your spouse, it has only one name to it. It is emotional cheating. Just like extramarital affairs, emotional cheating also bulldozes your marriage into nothingness. Did this video make you understand the many ways you cheat your spouse emotionally? Marriage realities will have many such relationship eye-openers. Subscribe to my channel to understand your marriage in a new light. Press the bell icon for updates about my latest relationship videos. Make love forever until death do us part, your relationship goal.